What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another spring practice report video. It is Friday, March 11th. We are just going to take a look at three schools today. We're getting closer and closer. There's altogether, I believe it's 30 schools already in. 12 more started up this week. We're going to have spring games coming next week. So on Monday's show, I will take you guys on a run through of like everybody who started, who's coming up, and what spring games were coming. But for today, I just wanted to touch on three big schools that have also been working on practice, including one that opened up today. We're going to talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide, the Texas A&M Aggies, and the Miami Hurricanes. All right, so let's head down to Alabama, who kicked off their spring practice today. Not much has come out of that so far, outside of Nick Saban pretty much claiming that Alabama is going to be the underdogs this year, which makes sense with the fact that Georgia did win a national championship last year. They did not win the SEC, though. Alabama did. And while Alabama did get beat fairly handedly, it was close up until about the last couple minutes of that fourth quarter. Georgia did win the national championship. That does worry me because when Nick Saban is able to get his team believing in them being the underdogs, they are typically a very dangerous team. Jahmyr Gibbs is there. What is interesting is the starting lineup that was out there. And again, first day of spring practice, so take this for what it's worth. But the starting lineup was, or it looks as it's going to be, Bryce Young and Jahmyr Gibbs, which we already knew those two were going to be locked in, right? But Jermaine Burton at the X, Ja'Cory Brooks at the Z, and they're going to have Joe Earl in the slot. I mean, that's three pretty damn good wide receivers there to pair with Bryce Young. So I'm very intrigued to see what happens with those guys. Of course, the fact that Hall is again buried. Austin and Chris Moxley over at the website at campstocant.com done a really good job of putting out these year one zeros, and Hall was one of them. Weird, recruiting thing with him, and then freshman season with him talking about possibly leaving the program and then not, and everything that happened with him. If you had Hall ranked highly, if you have Hall, I don't know that you're able to move him for much now, but I'd continue to worry as he's getting buried a little bit more and more here on the Alabama depth chart. Next up, we're going to go to Texas A&M. And I'm really intrigued with the Aggies here because I think that they've got a good team, and I think a lot of people aren't sure what to think with Texas A&M, right? Like Jimbo Fisher had some good seasons at Florida State. Jameis Winston, right? They win a national championship. He had Dalvin Cook. Like he's had some very good offenses, and since coming to Texas A&M, like he's been good but not great. Like this last year was the first time they ever really to get over the hump, and that is beating Alabama. They did it with backup quarterback Zach Calzada because Haynes King had been hurt. Well, Haynes King right now, for the most part, has been running with the ones, but they've been switching back and forth between him and Max Johnson. So on day 2 of their practices, the first unit was Haynes King, Ernest Crownover at running back, Chase Lane, Evan Stewart, and we're going to talk about him in a minute, Anaya Smith at wide receiver, Baylor Cupp at tight end, Max Johnson, Amari Daniels, Moose Muhammad, who I've talked about, I think could possibly be a breakout in this offense. That might have changed with the Evan Stewart news. Kenyon Jackson and Keith Brown with Max Wright at tight end. However, in today's practice, they did mix it up. Max Johnson and Amari Daniels took the first team reps. And notice something there when I'm talking about the running backs, right? Amari Daniels and I just lost his name, Ernest Crownover. LJ Johnson's not running with the ones and twos, which worries me a little bit. And I haven't seen anything on an injury. Maybe he's hurt or banged up a little bit. I haven't seen anything that he did run with the twos today. But a lot of us are projecting LJ Johnson to be the leader in that backfield. And the fact that he's not doing anything worries me just a little bit. But again, with the ones today was Mac Johnson, Amari Daniels, Chase Lane, Evan Stewart, and Anaya Smith. Those three are continually running with the ones, as is Baylor Cupp. Then with the second team, as I mentioned, LJ Johnson got run today with Haynes King, Kenyon Jackson, Moose Muhammad, Keith Brown, and Max Wright. Connor Weigman is getting work, but he is not really being thrown in with those first two, which kind of makes sense. I don't think any of us thought he was going to get the starting job this year, but I feel like he is for sure sold or is set as the third guy right now. If Haynes King wins the job, does Mac Johnson transfer out and then make Connor Weigman the 2? I do think that's a possibility. I do think Haynes King's going to win the job. I know Max Johnson probably didn't just come here on a whim. Maybe it was just he wanted to play with his brother, the tight end who committed to Texas A&M. A lot of us think that because he went there, just like when Jaden Daniels went to LSU, is like a wink, nod, handshake deal of, oh yeah, you're going to be the starter. Haynes King was decent last year before he got injured. I do think that he likely ends up winning this job. Let's talk about the wide receivers. I mean, Evan Stewart is getting a lot of love right now on the field for what he is doing for the Aggies. In today's practice alone, again, there was only 3 periods that the media and everybody was allowed in to cover, and when they watched them, they said that he was explosive and his agility maneuvering between coverages was the most impressive player out there. They've been talking about he just looks different compared to everybody else out there. He's also been on special teams, on punt and kick returns. We all know Evan Stewart has a talent. He's one of the top-rated wide receivers for 24/7 Sports, and for most of us at Campus to Canton, we all like his skill set. I have not faded him. He is my wide receiver 5, I believe, at the moment. He's been faded by some of us at the site because they don't love the landing spot because, and in fairness, Jimbo Fisher has struggled to develop wide receivers. But if the reports are that Evan Stewart is looking this good, true freshman, he's already running with the ones for multiple practices. I'm kind of even more in on Evan Stewart, and he is going later than usual because, again, everybody is fading him for going to Texas A&M. I'm going to look in here really quick and see if I can find his ADP here in startups because I'm almost positive he is not going that high. And again, take it for what it's worth. We've only seen him obviously in a couple practices here, but the fact that they're talking about he looks absolutely different than everybody else is what is exciting for me. So he's not going as low as I thought. Wide receiver 20 with an ADP of 61.7 in the range of a Luther Burden, who I would take ahead of him. I'd probably still take Troy Franklin, who's going right behind him, but then I would take him over the likes of like a Deion Smith, Jalen McMillan, Bo Collins, probably even Gary Bryant. Ajayi Hall is going to wide receiver 16 right now. We just talked about him with the Alabama practice. So Evan Stewart getting a lot of love early on here for Texas A&M. Just like I said, they said he looks different. So, the good side, Evan Stewart looking good. Bad side, LJ Johnson not getting a lot of run right now. Things could change. I'm not fading LJ Johnson because of that, but definitely a little bit worrisome that he is not getting more love than I guess we thought he was going to get, with the fact that we all were projecting him to be the easy set in stone starter here for the Aggies. Did get in practice today though, so we'll see what happens over the weekend. Like I said, we'll definitely hit on that on Monday as well. Last but not least here, like I said, guys, short show. We're just going to go around through 3 schools. Going to go to, Felix's favorite well, oh my goodness. I'm like completely blanking here. Oh, Miami Hurricanes. My goodness. The ACC. I don't know why I kept wanting to say AAC. They are the ACC. Big fan of Tyler Van Dyke. My goodness, guys. Sorry, it has been a long week, and I'm just making this look really bad. Felix Sharp. Big fan. Secret ACC fan and massive fan of Tyler Van Dyke and the Miami Hurricanes. From the practice reports for the past couple days, a lot of the stuff is that Tyler Van Dyke has been the most consistent with his ball placement and throwing to receivers. They've said that Jake Garcia, however, has been showing the best ability to throw on the run and has been impressive with his deep ball throwing. He definitely seems to be running with the twos. Ja'Cory Brown it's said that it's continued to show good accuracy, but needs to be more consistent. He'll have a couple good throws and a couple bad ones. That's kind of what we talked about with him coming out of high school. Does look like it's kind of set, though, in those 3, like in that order, that it's still going to be Tyler Van Dyke as the starter as of right now. We'll see if he ends up transferring out if he doesn't win the job, but Jake Garcia at 2, and then Ja'Cory Brown at 3. There's been an interesting little run here at wide receiver as well. I was just trying to find these guys apparently are having trouble separating deep. Josh Gaddis spent a lot of time working with the wide receivers today. The rotation for the most part has been Keyshawn Smith and Jacoby George on the outside with Xavier Restrepo in the slot. Frank Ladson has been working behind Keyshawn Smith, and Michael Redding III has been working behind Ladson. So he's kind of been like the fifth wide receiver there. And those guys have really not been able to kind of create any separation, it seems like, in these past couple days on the 7-on-7s and the 11-on-11 drills. They're just not really kind of creating any separation. And again, while Van Dyke has looked very good, they're saying that Ja'Carri Brown has been the best deep down the field passer, but Tyler Van Dyke is trying to challenge down the field as well. So that's definitely good. We want to see that. Again, I don't want to hype up Jake Garcia too much because I don't think he's going to win the job. Just Jaleel Skinner's apparently looked good physically for the past couple days, but he is considered the third tight end. Right now, Will Mallory is getting a lot of run on the first team, followed up by Elijah Arroyo. But Elijah Arroyo is getting a lot of love for how good he has been as a blocking tight end. He's actually been one of the best so far in camp, and actually just missed catching a deep pass earlier today by Jake Garcia. So Elijah Arroyo and Will Mallory both looking good here for Miami at the tight end position. You know, it's kind of, for those of you who play NFL, you know how kind of bad it is after those top couple guys. It's kind of the same way here on the college side as well. Definitely am intrigued to see what happens with those two, though. I'm still big on both of them, Will Mallory and Elijah Arroyo, and the fact that Arroyo's looking even better and better blocking, I think, is a big deal for him. Can he get on the field? Not much talk about for the running backs here, so it's something we'll continue to watch and monitor. But Tyler Van Dyke looking good, as is Jake Garcia. The wide receivers, not so much. So very intrigued to see how that hurts this offense and what they're able to do. Miami's a very intriguing team heading into the 2022 season. That will do it for us today. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the first week of spring practice reports. Again, we'll be back every single weeknight next week to discuss this stuff on Monday. My plan is to kind of give you guys an idea of how many teams are actually practicing and who's got spring games coming up, and then we'll continue to go through all of the news, notes, and nuggets next week. Everybody enjoy your weekends. Be safe. We'll talk to you guys again on Monday.